This is the main recording room. Some of the most limited and expensive sneakers in here. Jeez. This wall here is probably the best shoes that I have, of all my favorites. This is an unreleased Yeezy sample. Paid $3,000 for that. Only 300 in existence. Oh yeah, and one of my favorite recent pickups, the Undefeated 4s. Originally, 72 pairs they made. They were reselling for like $40,000, $50,000. 40, 50K for this. Yeah. So what did you say? You've got 150, 200 pairs?
We're at 250 now in the collection.
Jeez.
250 sneakers.
Gotta ask the question. You had one pair that you had to wear every day. Which one you taking?
Bruh, why the hell would he ask me that? Okay, easily the Yeezys. But what the hell? I can't wash the car in those? Okay, the off-white Dunks. Nah, they look crazy. I can't wear them dressed up. Okay, surely the Chicago ones. God, I'm definitely not gonna wear those to the gym.
These are the 5 shoes everyone should own. I have thought long and hard, and I think this is a bulletproof rotation. So before I tell you the exact 5 shoes, here's the categories: the active, the daily, the beater, the fancy, and the substitute. And with these 5 categories, no matter your style or preferences, you can create the perfect rotation and the only 5 shoes you need. So kicking us off, first up, the active category. Now this one is more about the type of shoe, regardless of whether you actually work out or go to the gym. Even if you're someone who doesn't do any of that, I still recommend pretty much everyone to have a pair of shoes in this category. It's one of the most versatile and comfortable sneakers that you can buy. And if you're ever on your feet for a long period of time doing a commute to work where you have to walk, or just going on, generally speaking, longer walks, this shoe is a necessity. And because this category is so important, again, I had to think a long time about it. The Nike Vomero 18, or the Plus, great shoes, one of the most comfortable shoes that Nike sells. Both great options, but wouldn't be my #1 pick, even though they came very close. The Nike Pegasus Premium was also one I strongly consider. It's super soft and squishy, and it doesn't have that exaggerated rocker feeling. They're relatively flat, so it is a great option for everyday wear. The price tag on these is pretty rough, and even regardless of that, I just don't think this pair of shoes represents everything this category is. But the shoe that takes it all and is definitely the perfect representation of this category is the Adidas Evo SL. I've been wearing this shoe for pretty much every single day for the past 11 months, and it just checks all of the boxes. It's super lightweight, incredibly comfortable, perfect for everyday wear, and somehow at the same time is great for actually working out and going for runs. It's also a great travel shoe because of how versatile it is. Relatively affordable at $150, it truly is just everything that you want out of a sneaker in this active category. Oh, and also one of the best looking sneakers out of all of them, making them super easy to throw like some really cool outfits together and walk around casually. So yes, this is definitely the shoe that casts the widest net for this role, and I think if you're trying to build the perfect rotation, these should definitely be a consideration. It kind of rhymed. Next category, and probably the most important, the daily. So what are the characteristics of the perfect daily shoe? Well, of course, they have to be comfortable. I mean, you are walking around in these things day in, day out. 2, and this one ranks pretty highly for me personally, they have to be easy to put on. I love a pair of shoes that I can put on without even using my hands. There's nothing more frustrating, at least to me personally, than having to sit down, undo the laces, put your foot in, tighten them back up, tie them up, and then adjust and go walk out the door. I don't have time for all that. I need a slip-on and go type sneaker. Now, they also have to be durable. Again, this is a pair of shoes that you're wearing every single day. You don't want them to just fall apart or look terrible after just a few wears. And finally, they need to be versatile. You need to be able to wear a daily shoe with pretty much any outfit in your wardrobe. No matter the season, summer, fall, winter, these things just need to be ready to go no matter what. And yes, in all honesty, this was the hardest category to pick one singular shoe out of. I thought about the New Balance 2000, super comfortable, good looking pair of shoes, but because it's so good looking, or I should say cool looking, it's definitely not as versatile. It's pretty out there. Okay, the Nike V5 Runner was my next consideration. Super affordable, $90, super comfortable, good good looking, but I still just don't think that sneaker ticks all of the boxes. I don't know if it can stand the test of time. So that brings us to the final pick, and I think the pair of shoes that ticks every single box you need for a daily sneaker, the Asics Kayano 14. Now, when I say that I've been testing these things, I've been testing these things. They were like my most worn shoe of last year, and I mean, still this year. I have traveled with these things, I've worn them to the gym, I've ran in them, I've dressed them up and put some really cool outfits together with this pair of shoes. They've pretty much done everything. And on top of all of that, they've held up great. They honestly still look really, really good. I'm not gonna say brand new, but you know, pretty close. They're an absolute asset for traveling. Like, I've been on some trips where like the only sneaker I needed to bring was this pair. And the whole time I've been wearing them, for the most part, it's been unlaced. So that makes them a perfect slip on and go type shoe. There's some occasions where I've needed to tie them up, whether it's like in the gym or if I'm running in them. But other than that, they stay unlaced. I just slip them on, walk out the door. So yeah, overall, as a daily sneaker, I cannot think of a better one than these. Highly recommend, and have recommended plenty of times in the past. Right, now for, I guess, one of the easier categories, the beater. Now, most people for this category just take one of their other shoes from the other categories. Once they've been utilized or they buy a new pair for a daily or an active, then the old one gets passed down to become the beater. Now, that's completely fair, although there is some thought and finesse that needs to go into this. I would argue that there's a lot of scenarios in your day-to-day that require an actual beater shoe. I know for me personally, there is a ton, and that's why I need a dedicated beater. You want a pair of shoes that is so durable that it can withstand a lot of the tougher activities. For example, in my day-to-day, I wash the car once a week, and I need a pair of shoes to do that in. I mow the lawn or go on hikes or just walks in generally, you know, not the best conditions. Lord knows I'm not wearing some of my nicer, more expensive shoes to do all of those activities in, so I want a durable shoe that can withstand all of the elements. Now, a pair of 3D printed shoes almost took this category. They're like some of the most durable shoes I've ever tested, and yes, I set them on fire and drove over them just to prove a point. They're also incredibly easy to clean. I've thrown mine in the washing machine. They've come out brand new. Hell, I've even pressure washed a pair. They just withstand and come out perfect every single time. But a few caveats to them is that they're not very lightweight. They're also not very accessible. I mean, you can't just walk into a Foot Locker and pick up a pair of 3D printed shoes. So for me personally, the perfect beater has been the No Two Ways HKE shoe. These are built like a tank, but still incredibly comfortable. They're made with Cordura fabrics and other waterproof style synthetics. But I do think my favorite beater shoe has to be the Brooks Cascadia 1. Brooks as a brand is relatively new to the lifestyle game. So basically what they did was took all of their expertise in hiking shoes and running shoes and just combined it into one lifestyle shoe. So they've got all of the trail shoe DNA, like the durability and the awesome traction, but they've got the comfort of a running shoe with a nice soft midsole that's easily something you can wear for a long period of time. And trust me, I have beat these things down. I wear them all the time doing all of the things that I mentioned before. I'm not going to go over it again. So yes, if I had to pick a beater shoe, it would be these. Right, if I'm not mistaken, that brings us to the fancy category. Now this one, pretty self-explanatory. It's, you know, when you need to do something or go somewhere that you need to dress fancy. Now for me personally, this happens very rarely. Like, we're talking once a year where I actually have to dress up for something, if even that. And I think for the most part that applies to a lot of people. They don't always have to dress fancy unless you're someone who does, you know, for work or something like that, when I'm sure you know what shoes you wear all the time. So just like the rest of the categories, I've got three kind of top contenders for this spot. First one would be loafers or dress shoes. Now this is a pretty easy option, you know, if you need to go to a wedding or you need to go to some kind of event where you actually have to wear a smart outfit, dress shoes would be great. Loafers I feel like is a little bit of an underdog. You can easily dress them up and look super fancy in them, or what most people do nowadays, just wear them with a pair of jorts or something like that. Now, because I so rarely have to dress up, I personally like to just head into Zara and pick up a pair of dress shoes. I don't need anything crazy because literally all this pair of shoes has to do is just get me to that one specific event once in a blue moon. Now, another option, and one of my personal favorites, would be boots. I love a clean pair of boots. They end up being super versatile, and depending on what style you go with, can easily dress up into looking like a really cool fancy outfit. You can go with something classic like a pair of Timberlands, you know, all black, and then you dress them up. Like, that could look really cool. My personal favorite is the RAL 7000 Echo Collaboration boot. Those things are super comfortable and look pretty cool. But another great option is just wearing one of your favorite sneakers. You know, one of those grails as sneakerheads. We all have them, like that special, sometimes expensive expensive pair of shoes that we only want to wear for that special occasion. Could be a pair of Mama in Your 3s, a pair of Travis Scott's, a pair of Jordan 1 Chicago's, or hey, if you're an absolute baller, LV Air Forces, something ridiculous. These events where you have to dress fancy sometimes can be the perfect opportunity to flex your favorite sneakers. Now, of course, not every scenario will allow you to do this. I mean, I tried to wear a pair of sneakers to a wedding and almost got kicked out. So yeah, generally speaking, this category is a lot more style dependent. If you're someone who likes to dress up and wear a suit and, you know, look really, really smart, I think the best option is just, you know, picking up a pair of dress shoes or loafers. And for me personally, that's exactly what I would go with. Because I don't need to dress up that often, I just pick up an affordable pair from Zara and keep it pushing. That brings us to the final category, the one that often gets overlooked, the substitute. Now, this sneaker, despite being kind of a bench warmer, is still incredibly important. It's a pair of sneakers that is kind of able to fill all of the gaps for all of these categories. I thought, you know, a pair of slippers or mules could be a great option because, you know, they're super comfy, they're kind of super versatile depending on what type of mule you go for. Like a pair of Birkenstocks can fill a lot of gaps. But also, it's not something you're going to wear to the gym. You're not going to be able to run or do a lot of walks in them. So when you really think about it, the substitute category is really hard to fill. But honestly, I think there's only one sneaker that can actually do it, that can be a substitute for each and every one of these categories. And that is the Jordan 1. Now, some people will say an Air Force 1 could also be here, and to that I would say you could be right. Actually, you're probably right. But the Jordan 1 is that sneaker for the reason. It's one of the most iconic shoes of all time, one of the most recognizable shoes. That's because you can really wear this sneaker almost doing anything. I've worn them to the gym. I've worn them as everyday daily shoes. You can dress them up pretty easily, especially if it's a really nice colorway like the Chicago's or even those Nigel Sylvester collabs that recently dropped. Those look clean with a smart outfit. So yes, even though this category is really asking a lot out of just one pair of shoes, the Jordan 1, it ticks all of the boxes. It really can sub out any sneaker in any of these categories. But of course, use the substitute category to your advantage. If you're someone who is more active, goes to the gym, works out a lot, maybe you want a sneaker that kind of leans more towards in that direction. If you're someone who dresses up a lot, maybe you want a substitute that's more fancy. But there you have it. Those are my 5 shoes for the perfect rotation. The Adidas Evo SL, the Asics Kayano 14, the Brooks Cascadia 1, a pair of Zara dress shoes, or, you know, a Grail sneaker, my honorable mention, and of course, the Jordan 1. Let me know down in the comment section, what are your 5 sneakers? Take your time, really think about it, because I'm going to be reading through those comments. And of course, if you want to catch another video, I'm going to throw one up in the top left-hand side. Check it out.